everyone. Welcome back to the English Everyday Podcast, your go-to English channel for learning English and improving your life step by step. I'm Emily, and as always, I'm joined by my fantastic co-host, Paul. Paul, how are you doing today?
Hey, Emily, I'm doing great. Feeling energized, positive, and honestly, a little excited for today's topic. How about you?
I'm doing well, too. You know, I had this quiet moment yesterday. I was just sitting by the window with my cup of tea, thinking about life. And I suddenly asked myself, why does it feel like some people completely turn their lives around, while others stay stuck in the same place year after year? It's such a big question, right?
Oh, I've had that same thought before. You see someone go from struggling to successful, from lost to confident, and you can't help but wonder, what's their secret? Are they just lucky, or is there something they're doing differently?
Exactly. And that's when I started thinking about my own journey of learning English. At first, it felt absolutely impossible. There were so many words, so many grammar rules, so many little details I couldn't remember. I remember feeling overwhelmed, but also curious to keep going.
That's so true. When I first started learning, I kept thinking, if I just knew more words, I'd be fluent. But soon I realized it wasn't just about vocabulary. It was about building habits, changing my mindset, and actually using what I learned every day, not just studying it.
Exactly. And that's when it hit me. Life is the same way. Big transformations don't happen overnight. It's not about one huge, dramatic decision. It's about the little changes we make every single day, the choices we repeat, and the thoughts we allow to shape us.
That's so true.
And that's what we're talking about today. How to change your life for good. Not just for a week or a month, but for good in a lasting, meaningful way. Before we dive deeper into today's topic, we have something a little special for our listeners. We've prepared a short learning segment that will help you not only understand today's ideas about change, but also improve your English step by step. In this episode, we're going to introduce some intermediate level English words and expressions that will appear throughout our conversation. These are words that can make your speaking sound more natural, confident, and even a bit more professional.
That's right. And later in the episode, we'll take a closer look at them in Charlotte's vocabulary section. Charlotte will explain what each word means, how to use it naturally in real conversations, and give examples that connect directly to our topic today, changing your life for good.
Exactly. You'll hear these words as we talk, and by the time you reach the end of this episode, they'll start to feel familiar, maybe even part of your own vocabulary. That's one of the best ways to learn a language, hearing new words in context and then seeing how they're used in real life.
Absolutely. So make sure you stay with us until the end, because not only will you discover practical steps for transforming your life, but you'll also leave with fresh, useful vocabulary that helps you express your thoughts clearly and confidently.
That's right. Learning English while growing personally is such a powerful combination. That's exactly what the English Everyday channel is all about. Learning, improving, and becoming a little better every single day.
You know, Emily, thinking about what we just talked about, how life changes little by little, it really makes me wonder why so many people struggle to make those changes in the first place. It sounds so simple when we say it, but in real life, it's not that easy.
That's a great point, Paul. Change sounds exciting, right? A fresh start, a new beginning, a better version of yourself. But here's the truth. Most people never actually make those changes. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because change is hard.
Exactly. Let's talk about some of the common reasons people feel stuck, because we've all been there. I think the first big one is fear of failure. So many people ask themselves, what if I try and fail? But the real question should be, what if you try and succeed? Every successful person has failed at some point, but the difference is they didn't stop. They kept moving forward.
That's so true. And the second reason is lack of direction. A lot of people know they want a better life, but they just don't know where to start. They wait for the perfect plan, but that perfect plan never comes. Sometimes the best way to find direction is simply to take the first step, even if it's a small one.
Yes, and another big reason is negative self-talk. You know, those little voices that say, I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not that kind of person. Those words might seem harmless at first, but they can completely stop progress before it even begins. When you believe those thoughts, you don't even give yourself a chance to grow.
Exactly. And then there's one of the biggest traps of all, waiting for motivation. People say, I'll start when I feel ready. But here's the secret. Motivation comes after action, not before. If you wait for motivation to show up first, you might be waiting forever.
That's so true. It reminds me of a personal challenge I went through a while ago. I kept waiting for the perfect moment to start, when I had more time, when I felt more confident, when things were just right. But that moment never came. Then one day, I simply took the first step. I didn't feel ready, but I did it anyway. And you know what? Once I started, everything slowly began to fall into place.
I love that story. It's exactly the same with me when I was learning English. At first, I thought, I'm not good at this. I'll never sound fluent. But then I realized something powerful. The only way to get better was to start practicing. Even when I made mistakes, I learned from them. And every small improvement built a little more confidence.
Exactly, and that brings us to one of the most important lessons of all. Understanding what's holding you back is the first step to changing your life. Once you recognize those barriers, fear, confusion, self-doubt, or waiting for motivation, you can finally start working on breaking them down, one piece at a time.
That's beautifully said, Paul. Because once you understand why change is hard, you realize it's not impossible, it's just a process. And every process begins with awareness. So, Paul, now that we understand what usually holds people back, the next big question is, how do we actually start making those changes? Because knowing the problem is one thing, but doing something about it is another story.
That's right, and the answer might surprise some people. It's not about doing something huge or dramatic overnight. Real, lasting change happens gradually, one small step at a time. People often imagine that transformation means some big, movie-like moment when everything changes. But in reality, it's the small, quiet choices we make every single day that shape who we become.
Exactly. That's where something called the 1% rule comes in. If you improve just 1% every day, one tiny step forward, you'll be 37 times better by the end of a year. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it really is, because those small efforts compound over time, just like interest in a bank account. You might not see the results right away, but little by little, they grow into something incredible. And that idea connects beautifully with what James Clear talks about in his book, Atomic Habits. He explains that our habits shape our identity. Every small action is a vote for the kind of person you want to become.
I love that book. It changed the way I see progress. Small changes may not look impressive at first, but over time, they completely redefined who you are. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the tree right away, but the growth is happening under the surface.
Exactly. And those small habits don't have to be complicated. It could be something as simple as reading for 10 minutes a day, practicing English for 5 minutes, or replacing one negative thought with a positive affirmation.
Right. I actually know someone who became fluent in English just by listening to podcasts every single day. They didn't start with a strict study plan or long hours of grammar drills, just consistent small steps every morning during their walk to work. After a year, the difference was unbelievable.
That's such an inspiring example. It really proves the point. Small, consistent actions lead to big results over time. So, if you're listening to this right now and wondering where to start, the answer is simple. Pick just one small habit today. Don't overthink it.
Yes, and remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Because even the smallest step forward is still movement toward your goal, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Exactly. Every small step creates momentum. And once you've got momentum on your side, change becomes natural, almost effortless. That's the real power of starting small. It builds confidence, energy, and belief in yourself.
Beautifully said, Paul. And that momentum doesn't just change what you do, it changes how you see yourself. You stop saying, I want to be that kind of person, and start realizing, hey, I already am becoming that person. You know, Paul, while taking action is super important, there's something even deeper that drives real, lasting change. And that's mindset. Because let's be honest, how we think about change can completely determine whether we succeed or give up halfway.
Absolutely. Our mindset shapes everything. Our habits, our confidence, even how we see failure. There's something psychologists call the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. If you have a growth mindset, you believe, I can improve, I can learn, I can get better. But if you have a fixed mindset, you think, this is just who I am. I'll never be good at this. That difference in thinking changes everything.
Exactly. Because the truth is, your brain listens to what you tell it. If you keep saying, I'm not good enough, your brain will find proof to make that true. But if you say, I'm improving every single day, your brain starts to look for progress instead. It's almost like you're training your mind to notice the good things.
That's right. Our brains are wired to focus on what we train them to notice. It's called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. That's why when you learn a new word, you suddenly start hearing it everywhere. Your brain filters out what it thinks is unimportant and pays attention to what you've been focusing on.
Exactly. So imagine if you start focusing on growth, confidence, and opportunity. Your brain will begin to spot more of those things in your daily life. But if you keep focusing on fear or failure, that's all you'll ever see.
That's why reprogramming your mind is so powerful. It's not magic, it's training. You're teaching your brain to work for you, not against you. And there are 3 powerful ways to do that: affirmations, visualization, and gratitude.
Yes, affirmations are those short, positive statements that remind you of your strength. Things like, I'm getting better every day, or I am capable and strong. It might sound simple, even silly at first, but the more you repeat it, the more your brain believes it.
Exactly. And then there's visualization. That's when you picture yourself succeeding. Imagine the feeling, the scene, the moment. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between imagination and reality, so by visualizing success, you're actually preparing your mind to make it happen.
And the third one, gratitude. When you take time to focus on what's already going well, you start to see that life isn't as bad or stuck as it seems. Gratitude trains your brain to see possibilities instead of obstacles. It's one of the most life-changing habits you can ever build.
That's so true. And the best part is, none of this is complicated. You don't need special tools or perfect timing. You just need a few minutes every day to think, to speak, and to see yourself differently.
Exactly, Paul. Changing your mindset is like adjusting the lens of a camera. When the focus shifts, the whole picture becomes clearer. And when you start thinking better, you naturally start living better.
Beautifully said, Emily. It's amazing how just changing what's inside your head can completely transform what's happening outside.
Now that we've talked about mindset, there's something else that often keeps people stuck, waiting for the right moment to start. You know, Paul, so many people tell themselves, I'll begin when I'm ready, but somehow that perfect moment never seems to come.
Oh, yes, I know that feeling so well. People think they need everything to be perfect before they can take action. The right mood, the right timing, the right level of confidence. But here's the truth. You will never feel completely ready. That's just how our minds work. The secret is this: progress comes before confidence, not the other way around.
Exactly. I remember when I first started learning English, I kept waiting for the day I'd feel good enough to start speaking, but that day never arrived. I was so afraid of making mistakes that I ended up not speaking at all. And the funny thing is, the longer I waited, the more nervous I became.
That's so relatable. I've been there too. When I started learning a new skill, I hesitated to begin because I didn't feel confident. But when I finally took that first small step, even though I wasn't ready, everything changed. Each tiny action built momentum. Each attempt made me a little braver.
Yes, once I started speaking, I realized that making mistakes wasn't the end of the world. In fact, every mistake helped me improve. Each conversation, no matter how awkward it felt, taught me something new. I wasn't perfect, but I was learning, and that was enough.
Exactly. And that's the key idea I want every listener to take away. Done is better than perfect. So many people delay action because they're waiting for everything to be just right, but perfection is just another form of fear hiding in disguise.
That's so true. As if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. And in the meantime, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass by. The truth is, imperfect action is always better than no action at all.
Right. Whether it's learning English, starting a workout routine, writing a book, or changing your habits, the most important thing is to begin. Even the smallest step will build confidence over time.
Exactly. Confidence isn't something you magically wake up with, it's something you create through action. Every little success, every small victory gives you proof that you can do it. And once that happens, confidence starts to grow naturally.
That's such an important reminder. So here's a little challenge for everyone listening right now. Think of one thing, just one that you've been putting off. Maybe it's practicing English, starting a new hobby, or even reaching out to someone for help. And then take one small step today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today.
Yes, because action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. That's how real transformation begins. It doesn't start with waiting for the right mood or perfect timing. It starts with one simple choice: begin now.
Exactly. Small, consistent actions over time create massive change. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Make today the day you start.
Beautifully said, Call. I couldn't agree more because every small beginning has the power to grow into something extraordinary, but only if you dare to take that first step.
Speaking of taking action, Emily, have you ever noticed how much our surroundings shape the way we live, the way we think, and even the choices we make? It's not just about what we do, it's also about who and what we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely, Paul. Our environment has a silent power. The people we spend time with, the things we listen to, and even the kind of content we consume every day, they all influence the direction of our lives, often without us realizing it.
Exactly. There's a famous saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's so true. If you spend time with people who are always negative, complaining, or giving up easily, it's really hard to stay positive and motivated.
Yes, negativity is contagious, but so is positivity. If you surround yourself with people who are goal driven, hopeful, and working towards something meaningful, their energy naturally rubs off on you. You start to think differently. You start to believe that you can do it too.
That's right. So, how can we create an environment that actually supports growth? Well, the first thing is to intentionally choose what we let into our lives. Follow people who inspire you, whether it's authors, teachers, speakers, or even uplifting social media accounts. Expose yourself to voices that encourage you to grow, not ones that drain your energy.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I love podcasts like this one. When you listen to positive content every day, things that make you think, reflect, and learn, you're basically reprogramming your brain to expect growth. It slowly shifts your mindset from I can't to I'm learning.
Yes, that's so true. And joining online learning communities can help too. There are so many wonderful groups for English learners, book clubs, or even personal growth communities. When you're surrounded by people who share your goals, it becomes easier to stay on track because you feel supported.
I completely agree. I remember when I first joined an English learning community. Before that, I felt stuck and unmotivated. But suddenly, I had people to practice with, to share my struggles with, and to celebrate my small wins. That sense of community made such a difference.
Yes, because the right environment creates momentum. It gives you energy to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. And that momentum helps you grow naturally without forcing yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not just about adding good influences, it's also about removing the negative ones. That might mean spending less time around people who constantly complain or cutting back on social media that makes you feel anxious or discouraged. Protect your energy because it's the fuel for your growth.
That's such a powerful reminder, Emily. So, for everyone listening right now, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they helping you grow or are they holding you back?
And if they're not pushing you to become better, maybe it's time to make some changes. Not in a harsh way, but in a wise way. Choose to be around people, ideas, and influences that lift you up, not pull you down.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, your environment isn't just where you live, it's what you allow to live inside your mind.
Beautifully said, Paul. And speaking of positive environments, learning new words and phrases is another great way to grow. Because when you expand your vocabulary, you also expand your ability to think and express yourself. And that's where Charlotte comes in. Paul, sometimes just learning a few new words can change the way we talk and even the way we think. Because the more vocabulary you have, the easier it gets to express your thoughts, your dreams, your goals, all of it.
Exactly. And that's why we've got Charlotte with us today. She's going to help us break down some of the key words from this episode, what they mean, and how you can use them in real life.
Yes. So if you're listening right now, maybe grab your notebook, or if you're out for a walk, just listen closely. These are words that'll help you talk about change, mindset, and growth in a more natural way. All right, Charlotte, take it away.
Hey there, English learners! It's time for Charlotte's Vocabulary Breakdown. Emily and Paul have been talking about how to change your life for good, and I've picked out some great words from their conversation that'll help you sound more confident and fluent. All right, let's jump in. The first one is transformation. That's a big or complete change in something. For example, after years of hard work, Maria experienced a complete transformation in her career. She went from an intern to a company director. Next, we have mindset. That's the way you think about things or approach challenges. For example, Jake changed his mindset about exercise, and now he enjoys working out every morning. Then we have surroundings. That just means the people, the places, and the things around you. Like this. Anna moved to the countryside because she wanted more peaceful surroundings. Momentum. I love this one. It means the force that keeps something moving forward. For example, once Daniel started writing 500 words a day, he built momentum and finished his book in just 3 months. Next is exposure. This one means how much contact or experience you have with something. For example, watching English movies increased Sarah's exposure to native speech, and it really improved her listening skills. Growth-driven. That's when someone is focused on learning and improving. For example, Leo joined a growth-driven study group that encouraged him to keep learning and setting new goals. Then there's visualization. That's when you picture something in your mind, like imagining yourself succeeding. For example, every night, Mark visualizes himself speaking confidently before his presentations. Affirmation, one of my favorites. It means a positive statement you say to yourself to encourage yourself. For example, Jane starts her day with the affirmation, "I am capable and strong." Community. That's a group of people who share similar interests or goals. For example, David found a wonderful community of runners who helped him stay motivated and complete his first marathon. And finally, accountability. That's about taking responsibility for your progress. For example, Mia set weekly goals and tracked her progress to stay accountable in her fitness journey. And that's it for today's vocabulary breakdown. These words aren't just for learning English. They're also for understanding yourself and your goals better. Try using them when you talk about your own journey or write about your progress. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. All right, I'll hand things back to Emily and Paul.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. That was awesome. I really love how each word connects with what we've been talking about today. It's not just vocabulary, it's life vocabulary.
Exactly. And the more you understand these words, the easier it gets to think about change in a deeper way. Words shape thoughts, and thoughts shape your life.
Beautifully said, Emily. And I think this is the perfect moment to wrap up with one final message for everyone listening. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Those were some really great words. And honestly, they connect perfectly with everything we've been talking about today. I think it's amazing how learning new vocabulary can actually change how we see ourselves.
That's so true. When you can express your thoughts clearly, you start to understand your own journey more deeply. It's not just about learning English, it's about learning yourself.
Exactly. And if we had to leave our listeners with one final thought today, I'd say this. You have more control over your life than you think. Sometimes it feels like life is happening to you, but the truth is, every small choice you make is shaping your future.
Yes. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or for everything to fall into place. Change starts when you do, even in small, quiet ways. Because those small actions, those tiny steps, build up over time and create something big.
Exactly. A small shift in your mindset, one little habit you repeat every day, and surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, those are the things that can completely transform your life.
And remember, progress doesn't happen overnight, but every small step you take gets you closer to where you want to be. You might not see it today, but trust me, you're moving forward.
That's such an important reminder. So, to everyone listening, we want to leave you with a little challenge. Think of one small change you can make today. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's practicing English for 5 minutes, reading a positive quote, or just replacing one negative thought with a positive one.
Yes, just start today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. That's how transformation really begins.
Exactly. Small, consistent actions. That's the secret. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Make this moment perfect by taking that first step.
Beautifully said, Paul. And to everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, and maybe even leave us a review. It really helps us grow together.
Absolutely. And remember, we're all learning, growing, and becoming better, one step at a time. Let's keep walking this journey together.
See you next time on the English Everyday Podcast. And until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself.